So, as you may know, there are a lot of popular movies out there that are based on books, but some of them you probably didn't realize were based on books in the first place. So, let's uncover some of those. Welcome back to BG's Books. I'm Mr. BG, and today I'll be discussing some popular movies that you may not have known were based on books originally. So, of course, you guys know that I love talking about books, but another one of my hobbies is movies. And while I do not typically talk about movies on this channel unless it is comparing the movie to the book it was based on, I came up with this idea like a few days ago, and I realized there's a lot of movies out there that people don't realize are based on books to begin with. So I'm going to kind of explain some of those. I have 3 videos planned. I have 30 books, but I will only be doing 10 per video. So this is part 1, as you say. But anyway, yeah, enough rambling. Let's get right into the books that the movies became famous for, or the movies that were based on books that you had no idea about. So let's do this. So the first book we have on this list is Dumbo. So of course, many of you, such as myself, know Dumbo from the 1941 Disney film, but little did we know that it's actually based upon a 1939 book called Dumbo the Flying Elephant. It's a book format that I've never heard of before. I think it's called a scroll book. And so I think it's like, or roll a book, and then it's like a thing in a scroll. I don't really know what that looks like. But anyway, I just thought it was interesting. So yeah, Dumbo, the 1941 Disney film, is based upon the children's story, Dumbo the Flying Elephant. So I thought that was pretty fun. So yeah, there's that. The second movie that was more known as the movie than the book is probably one you probably figured out. I mean, some of these are going to be more obvious than others, but this one that I'm talking about is The Exorcist. So, of course, The Exorcist is a very famous and very benchmark horror movie made in 1973, based on the novel by William Peter Blatty. And, of course, I have it right here. And so I have both read the book and watched the movie. So, of course, I mean, the movie's very accurate and stuff. But a lot of you might not be aware that The Exorcist was based on a book. In fact, when I first heard about The Exorcist all those years ago, I didn't know it was either. So when I did, I was like, okay, I gotta read that. And so I did, and then, there you go. So yeah, I just thought it was kind of interesting that The Exorcist was based on a book, because like The Exorcist is such a groundbreaking horror movie, but I just did not know it was based on a book, and probably a lot of you didn't realize it either. Again, this is one of the more famous, book adaptations out there, so I'm pretty sure a lot of you already knew that The Exorcist was based on a book, but in case you didn't, here it is. So yeah. And the third book on the list is actually connected to The Exorcist, because the movie, it is Exorcist 3. So The Exorcist 3 was, I guess, considered the true sequel to The Exorcist, because The Exorcist 2 was both not based on a book and was just extremely badly rated from what I've seen. But anyway, it is not based on a book called Exorcist 2 or Exorcist 3. It is actually based on a book, also by William Peter Blatty, called Legion. And so Legion basically follows, I think, one of the main cops from the first Exorcist book, and then kind of his stuff doing some more like demonic crime work and all that, solving that kind of thing. So I didn't realize that either. I thought Legion was just another book that William Peter Blatty wrote. But apparently it served as the basis for Exorcist 3, which a lot of people consider to be a really great movie and the true sequel to The Exorcist. So yeah, I don't have the book on me, unfortunately. That's something I hope to get in the very near future. But yeah, I just thought that was very interesting nonetheless, because I thought The Exorcist was just like a one and done, and then it spawned many sequels from the movie because, whatever. But apparently Exorcist 3 was based on Legion, which is a book. So there you go. So the fourth book is kind of like The Exorcist in a way. It's like the book is quite popular, but the movie is even more popular, so a lot of people might not know that it came from a book. But the fourth movie on this list is Psycho. Yeah, the Alfred Hitchcock movie from 1960, one of the first ever slasher movies and also one of the greatest horror movies of all time. I mean, I've seen Psycho, you've probably seen Psycho. It is just an incredible film all around. But little did people know that it is actually based on a 1959 novel called Psycho by Robert Bloch, right here. And so I've read Psycho, the book, and Psycho, the book, and the movie are quite similar, except they kind of change the main characters a little bit. The book focuses more on Norman Bates and his mother as the main characters, and then the movie focuses more on Janet Leigh as Marion as the main character, at least for like the first 40-ish minutes or so. But anyway, so yeah, Psycho is a very, very great movie, and the book is like nothing to sleep at either. The book is just really great. It has a lot of great plot twists and stuff. But yeah, I think it's very interesting because a lot of people know Psycho for the Hitchcock movie rather than the book it was based on. So yeah, I thought that was quite interesting. All right, and so the fifth movie on this list is something that you probably knew was a book, possibly, but it is the 1933 adaptation of The Invisible Man. So The Invisible Man from 1933 was in that like Universal Monsters movie, so like, you know, Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman, The Mummy. It's like the Universal Monsters. Well, in 1933, they made a movie for The Invisible Man, also based on a book similar to Dracula or Frankenstein, which are, of course, known as both. But The Invisible Man was written by H.G. Wells, and yeah, it became that very famous movie with groundbreaking technology to do the invisibility scenes. Yeah. I mean, the movie I've heard takes like a couple creative liberties with the source material towards the end, but for the most part, it's based on H.G. Wells's book, and I don't know if a lot of people knew that or not. So again, this is another one of the Exorcist things, and another one of the Psycho things. So yeah, The Invisible Man is based on a book, but I think it's a pretty solid book, and it's very short. So if you like the movie, you'll probably like the book as well. All right, and so the sixth movie on this list is going to have a lot of you 90s fans all excited. It is I Know What You Did Last Summer. So I Know What You Did Last Summer is like the late 90s slasher movies. So, you know, it's very Scream. It's very like a lot of 90s slasher movies that are kind of parodies and self-referential. So like Scream is like the main thing there. But it was not actually based on like the comedy of Scream or anything. It was based on the 1973 novel I Know What You Did Last Summer by Lois Duncan. And so this one is really where the sources diverge quite a bit, because the 70s book is more like straightforward. It's more of like a we did a bad thing, now who's killing us and stuff. And while the movie is the same way, the movie changes the killer entirely. It changes the weapon of the killer, the look of the killer, everything. It even changes most of the characters' personalities to not be as unlikable as the characters in the book. So the movie is definitely like not directly adapted from the book. It's more of like loosely based on the book with a couple things that are similar. So yeah, I just thought that was very interesting because I know that a lot of people know the 90s movie and even love the 90s movie, but I bet a lot of people didn't realize it was based on a book. So there you go. I Know What You Did Last Summer is actually based on a book from the 70s. All right, and so the next movie we have on this list goes to One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. This is another one like The Exorcist, where you might have already known that it was based on a book or whatever, but I see a lot more people talk about the movie rather than the book, which is of course right here. It's based on the novel by Ken Kesey. And of course, both are just spectacular. The book is incredible, and then the movie is incredible itself. I can see why they're both very well known. But yeah, so again, a lot of you may have known that this was based on a book, but in case you didn't, here you go. It is definitely based on a book. So if you've seen the movie but never read the book, go check out the book. it is very much like the movie, and it is incredibly accurate. Well, the movie was incredibly accurate to the book. So, yeah, there you go. All right, so the eighth movie on this list is actually a series of movies, but it is The Kissing Booth. So, you guys are probably wondering how I know about The Kissing Booth in the first place. And to answer that question, I have Netflix. So, of course, The Kissing Booth is a trilogy of movies made by Netflix and released onto Netflix. And I've seen the first one, the second one, and parts of the third one. I need to get back into watching the third one. But apparently, I didn't know that The Kissing Booth was actually based on the book by Beth Reekles. And so, like I said, the book is a series, just like the movie is. And so, this is, of course, the first book that inspired the first movie. In fact, this is the movie tie-in cover right there. But there's also The Kissing Booth 2 and 3. And then I think there's also like one or two short stories that take place in between some of them. So I don't really know the order of the books, but I know that the main three books in the series were the basis for the three Netflix films. And I'm gonna be honest, I kind of liked the Netflix films. Yes, they're cringy, they're weird, they're kind of all out there, but I don't know, it's something to watch, so I don't know. But anyway, yeah, so The Kissing Booth was based on a book, actually. And I think that's very interesting because I've not read the book yet, but of course I have seen the movies a long time ago, back when they first came out, even. So yeah, I just thought that was kind of interesting, and I wanted to put it on this list. Coming in is the ninth book on our list. Again, this is like another one like Exorcist or One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, but I am, of course, talking about the 1971 film A Clockwork Orange. So, a lot of people have watched A Clockwork Orange. I haven't, but I did read the book right here, which is by Anthony Burgess. And yeah, again, it's like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, The Exorcist. A lot of people probably already knew the movie was based on a book, but in case you didn't, it is based on a book. It's actually really good. I don't think it's as interesting as One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, but A Clockwork Orange is certainly something in of itself. I think it says a lot about society and everything. But yeah, just in case you didn't know, A Clockwork Orange was based on a book. So yeah, that's about that. All right, here we are. Our last movie, number 10. And of course, this movie is Fight Club from 1999. So a lot of you have probably seen Fight Club in theaters in 1999 and probably just thought, huh, this is an interesting idea for a movie. But similar to The Exorcist and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and Clockwork Orange, you may or may not have known it was based on a book, and it is based on this book right here by Chuck Palahniuk. And the book is something in of itself. I think the book is just kind of pretty fun. It's kind of out there. And yeah, but of course, a lot of people know the movie for Brad Pitt and Edward Norton, and the fact that I don't remember what his name was, but he directed it. He's a really good director. Oh, man, now that's gonna kill me. Anyway, yeah, Fight Club is based on a book. In case you didn't know, again, there's probably only like 5 people of you, or there's only like 5 of you out there that didn't know it, but yeah. It is based on a book, and I think the book is pretty good, and the movie is decent. So yeah, both are kind of the same for me. The book was okay, and then the movie was okay. So yeah, Fight Club was based on a book. But guys, those are the 10 movies that you did not know probably were based off of books. And so, of course, like I said, I have 30 books in total, so these were the first 10, so you can expect to see parts 2 and 3 sometime in the near future. But yeah, I just thought this idea was really fun because, you know, we all love movies, at least most of us do, but a lot of movies were actually based on books that we just never knew about. So yeah, I just thought that was really interesting. Also, I just looked up who directed Fight Club. It was David Fincher. Yes, it was David Fincher. He's a great director. I highly recommend watching his movies. He also did the video for Janie's Got a Gun by Aerosmith, or at least a cut of it. But yeah. Anyway, please let me know what books you think, or what movies you think were based on books. Sorry, I talk about books first. But anyway, yeah, please let me know in the comments what movies you think people don't know are based off of books. And yeah, but that is it for me. I will see you guys in parts 2 and 3 coming very soon. But yeah, I've been Mr. BG. This has been BG's Books. I will see you guys in the next video.